Drag racing fan Lee Craft here, the Monday Morning Racer, coming to you from, well, the middle of nowhere in Illinois, on my way to Cordova Dragway for the Summer Nationals. Funny Car Chaos being presented, and the internet, this time brought to you by Love's Truck Stop. Actually, I had to buy it, but nonetheless, we're live from a Love's in the middle of nowhere in Illinois, but there is always drag racing to talk about. Looking forward to this show, talking drag racing along with me, American Hot Rod Entertainment, Darren Williams Jr. He's actually even helping out with the show, hitting those ones and twos because, well, I'm on the road and mobile. We also are going to have Noah on, a.k.a. Mighty Mac. Let's chat up the drag racing next, right here on Between the Slicks after this break.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your center console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System, TDS, and steal the thieves' hope.
All right, folks, here we have them. Darren Williams Jr., Noah, Mighty Mac here on Between the Slicks. Fellas, good to have you both on the talk drag racing here on the Monday Morning Racer platforms and the Drag Racing Connection and CompetitionPlus.com platforms as well. Each and every one of you out there watching, hit the like button, hit the share button. We want to talk about also what you want to talk about. Noah, what's going on, man?
Not much. Got back from Bristol Sunday night. Did not leave until 10 at night. Drove straight through the night. Got back home at around 6 in the morning. Crashed. Still dealing with the kinks from the Crown Vic that I took down there because the entire weekend we ended up dealing with what ended up being a cylinder misfire. So we're still dealing with that. So that was a fun drive home. But, I mean, yeah, got back from Bristol. I was basically just recouping from that and hoping to get to Norwalk next week.
I hear you. Well, that sounds like a good plan. Yes, I did very little recouping from Bristol before hitting the road. Now, Darren, you haven't been anywhere. What have you been up to?
Hey, man, just, doing my whole deal, trying to get the job done, writing articles, doing stuff here and there. So, but I should be back on the road pretty soon from not long from now. But hey,
yes.
Noah, how long was that drive, though, from Florida to Bristol? I'm curious.
From Indiana now. I'm no longer in
Florida. Indiana, yeah.
So from Indiana, it's 8 hours.
Okay, not bad.
It's not bad at all. It's just when you're dealing with an engine misfire the entire way there and you're going through the thunderstorm for over half of it. I mean, yeah, it feels, if you feel the 8 hours, that's for dang sure. Around Kentucky is when I really started hitting it. The one and only shout out I give is Brian Lone's Dorkomotive podcast because through Tennessee, Virginia, and Kentucky, that kept me going throughout the entire trip. So it plugged along, but I'm telling you, man, when I hit Indiana, those 8 hours started hitting hard, and that was just a struggle just to get through Southern Indiana all the way back to Speedway.
Wow, 8 hours. That's rookie level. Y'all get up there eventually. Y'all get it. Y'all get up there eventually.
We talk about that. Kevin, who is the guy who does videography for me, we were playing out the race at the beginning of the year, and we're looking at going to Dallas for the Fall Nationals and the Stampede, and I was telling him, we'll just drive to Texas. I'm not driving to Texas. We're gonna fly there. I was like, you gonna buy the rental car? I was like, yeah, I will. I'm not driving to Texas. So there's limits to how far he's willing to go. But I tried.
Wow. Yeah. Well, hit the road. And speaking of hitting the road, good buddy of mine, Warren Evans, DragRacer.tv, and the individual that does the streams for Funny Car Chaos and also many streams for NHRA, he's like, dude, I looked at your path from South Carolina up to Illinois there at Cordova. By the way, a slight detour along your way, you can check out Bowling Green, Kentucky, and not in particular the town, but Beach Bend Raceway. They have, Darren, what is the race called now they're calling it?
The Wally Parks NHRA Nostalgia Nationals. That's what they're
Woo!
calling it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wally Parks NHRA Nostalgia Nationals, not just Heritage Series Hot Rod Reunion, right?
Well, the original name was the Holly Hot Rod Reunion.
All right, Holly Hot Rod, yes.
And then the one in Bakersfield was the California Hot Rod Reunion. But
yes.
since the whole reunion feel has kind of gone away and it's become all about the racing, they just called it now the Nostalgia Nationals.
All right. And I think, isn't it even the Wally Parks NHRA Nostalgia Nationals presented by Holly? Is it technically tacked onto it?
Yeah, Holly is still sponsoring the event, yes.
Whew. Wow, that's a name. That's a name. Nonetheless, guys, Darren, I don't know if you were watching. No, I imagine many in the audience were watching Tuesday night. Had this very quick top 5 list of tracks you need to visit. And they weren't all just national event tracks either. I have to modify the list. I really think I do now. Beach Bend Raceway, there in Bowling Green, Kentucky, is another special place that if you're a drag racing fan or you're a drag racer, you need to pay it a visit. It's iconic. When people are racing there because it's the only place I know of with covered grandstands that is a drag strip. It looks like the old Darlington Speedway out there with those covered grandstands. Well, the one that would be spectator side, if you will, and not pit side, the larger covered one. I didn't know this. I'm sure someone had told me and it just didn't register. But there's old stadium chairs on that side. So it looks like an old ballpark. Matter of fact, the seats are from an old ballpark there in Beach Bend. It is impressive, this facility. Is it the biggest, the nicest? No, but it's got that feel. It's got that mystique. Certainly a great place to hold a nostalgia event.
Yeah, and a lot of the racers have said this too. With these nostalgia cars, the AA Fuel Dragsters and the nostalgia funny cars, yes, there's the Legends Nitro funny cars, which races on the big show, but these cars look so great at these tracks like a Bakersfield, like a Beach Bend, like a Boise. They look so good at these, kind of smaller type of racetracks, and they just put on a good show. And, like I know you went to Bowling Green today, and they've had one session of Nitro today, and they already laying down some great times, and the action's already been great. So I'm ready to talk about it if you are, because my boy Kyle Huff and Mike Hilton, shout out to them. They're actually making their debuts in front of the Top Fuel, AA Fuel Dragster, and actually getting their licensing as well. So I believe 7 Top Fuel cars have showed up. Jim Murphy, the legend Jim Murphy, is currently qualified #1 with a great 594. So shout out to Jim Murphy. And then also Kamaka Pocock. He was #1 in Bristol last weekend. It's only one session, but he's #1 right now in Nitro Funny Car 570. I'll tell you what, that California Hustler car, they're turning the corner, and they're going to be in the winner's circle not long from now.
First thing when I saw Mr. Pocock, I said, man, semifinals, what happened? He's like, sometimes you're just the bug. And he's like, we missed it. And certainly they're firing on all cylinders once again at Beach Bend Raceway. And yeah, I wanted to catch session #1 for qualifying today, but obviously I've got to get up the road. I'm going to be getting into Cordova, Illinois later tonight, and certainly be hustling even after this show. But yeah, they're going to have some great action up there in Beach Bend. Watch Jim Murphy and gang warm up the car. Everything looked good, looked strong, and got a little bit of nitro for the day, which is always good when you get nitro. They are going to have a great show. Brian Loans is on the mic. Talked with Brian briefly, and you can watch on the NHRA YouTube channel. You don't even have to have NHRA.TV. You can catch the Wally Parks NHRA Nostalgia Nationals on the YouTube channel for NHRA. You can catch it there. But if you get NHRA.TV, you can catch so much more as well. Noah, look, you got to see these neo-nostalgia funny cars at Bristol Dragway. What was your thought seeing the legend Nitro funny cars in action at Thunder Valley Nationals?
It's definitely a class that I got interested in. It's like, obviously, you see these, they say, nostalgia funny cars, these old school bodies being brought back out, and you get to hear it. It's just a sound that I haven't heard in a long time. I remember watching NHRA maybe back early 2000s and the mid 2000s, and they still somewhat had that cackling sound, and you still hear it there. So it was definitely a class that I've been interested in. To see them and hear them in person was really cool, and I hope to God they bring them back to more events, because that was fun to watch. And I'm honestly more interested in getting out to some of those like funny car chaos events, or if they're down there for the Stampede. I'm not sure if they are, but if they are down there, that'd be definitely something that want to go check out, especially like even the nostalgia dragsters that I haven't seen, like those old school ones that are running down for the Wally Parks Nationals. Like those old school dragsters are cool. It's just a neat throwback to an era that is a little bit past my time, but it's still cool to see them back again and running in today's standards.
Yeah, they do sound different from modern cars. They certainly have a pop and a cackle to them when you can tell when those guys are running, and it sounded different there in the valley there at Bristol Dragway. Darren, you have the Great Expectations gang. They're out there for sure. They've got the number one on the side of their ride. They might have a little bit of an edge on some of the competition. They do have another race under their belt. They've hit the track another time, opposed to many of their other fellow competitors out there.
Oh, no, for sure. And I'll tell you what, this is a home race for the Hiltons, that Great Expectations team. This is a race they want to win, not far from their hometown. So they're going to come out there, like you said, with an edge. And also what's cool is that Bobby Hilton, the owner of that car, he's the father of Tyler Hilton, the driver and the champion in the class. Well, his brother, Mike Hilton, is making his debut this weekend as well. So they actually brought out two cars. So that's double the data for that team right there. But I'll tell you what, it's still a tough class. And two guys I'm looking out for this weekend. First up, Jim Murphy, like I said, he's number one right now. I know it's only one session, but that car can go out and win any race. He's over 80 years old, but he can still drive a AA field dragster. And also, I'm looking at Adam Sorokin. It's been a few years since Adam has been in the winner's circle. 2019 March meet was the last time Adam Sorokin held a trophy. Adam Sorokin is going to be hungry this weekend in Bowling Green. So even though Tyler Hilton, I think, has the edge, I think it's still going to be tough competition to get through on Saturday afternoon during final eliminations.
Darren, you talk to these individuals racing in the Heritage Series often. It seems like the schedule working of Bristol, then Bowling Green, mission accomplished to finally get more funny cars to Bowling Green. Full field at Bowling Green. There are going to be people who will not make the show at Bowling Green because every car that was at Bristol, they are there and then some for the Wally Parks NHRA Nostalgia Nationals.
Guess who's racing in Nitro Funny Car this weekend? A big time crew chief in Big Show Funny Car.
Ooh.
And a former IHRA Funny Car champion.
Who's
Richard
that?
Hartman is driving the Nostalgia Funny Car this weekend. Richard Hartman.
Right. That's right.
I didn't even know he was. And I was like, wow, there's Richard Hartman. And it's funny, on Power Hour, Tim Wilkerson actually brought that up. He said Richard Hartman was kind of interested in running a Nostalgia Funny Car, and here he is at the Wally Parks NHRA Nostalgia Nationals. So that's really cool to see. But yeah, like you said, with the top field guys, a lot, of course, the Heritage Series, it's mostly a West Coast based series. So that's why I get to talk to these guys a lot and go to a lot of the races in Bakersfield. But there's a lot of top field dragsters also on the East Coast and the Midwest. So when they go to like a Bowling Green, you see a big field of top field cars. Well, a lot of the funny cars don't really go to Bowling Green. But now, like you said, with them going to Bristol, a lot of the guys have showed up. You got a few extra guys like Richard Hartman and Chuck Lofton. So full fields of funny cars, fields and top field dragsters. Going to be a fun weekend. And also got field altered as well, AA field altered. So full weekend of Nitro racing.
It's going to be a time there at Beach Bend Raceway in Bowling Green, Kentucky, for sure. Noah, you were there for the Thunder Valley Nationals and covering it. Bring us some of your top takes from the Thunder Valley Nationals there at Bristol Dragway, from facility to the competition.
Well, if you're starting off facility-wise, the one thing I would say is I would tease Darren for not showing up to that race and backing out, because
he's supposed to.
Yeah, he was supposed to go. He should have gone. It was a dang good event, regardless if we're being flown to Epping for the weekend to start off. But I mean,
there's always next year.
There's always next year. But it's like I was talking to Kevin and Brody, who the guys always bring with me, and the one thing I told them since I got there on Friday was like, even the drive to Bristol is like, this is a track that you need to visit just because of the scenery alone. It is honestly one of the most beautiful racetracks I can go to. Maybe the only track that can even get near it is maybe Pomona and maybe Vandermeer. Sorry, I get those too confused. Is Vandermeer and Pomona, but just because of the landscape around and the fact that the track literally sits on a hill. That's the thing I did not expect, is that drag strip sitting. You have the oval on one side sitting on its hill, the drag strip on another in a hill, and the parking lot's down there in the valley, which both me and Lee had to take the hike up for the time being, I had 2 backpacks, and on Saturday they were taking me on the golf cart up the hill, and I lost grip on one of them, and it fell off the golf cart. I was about to go up the hill, and I thought the camera was in there, so I was like, "Oh no, I just broke this camera." So, I mean, I was freaking out for the most part, but like regardless, like you get in the media center, you have the mountains in the background. It is by far one of the most scenic tracks I've ever seen in my life, alongside tracks like Sebring and even IRP, just for what it's worth. But it's like it's an incredible racetrack. The facility is fantastic, and Anthony and all the guys that run the media center up there were fantastic, because I got there on Friday and they opened up and they had a freaking ice cream freezer. I didn't know about that until one of the NHRA people opened it up. I was like, "Are you kidding me? They have that in here?" And it's like, "Yeah, just don't touch mine," because she hit it all the way at the bottom. In terms of the event, key notes I took away: Gage Herrera still being Gage Herrera, owned the class, had one slip up, but he still owns the class. And then, as we're talking about, we'll probably get into later, the Gage Herrera rule. Funny car, I still think Bob Tasca is the guy that is the one that can challenge the top 3. We all point to Cruz, but if you look at Bob Tasca, I still think he's just sitting there biding his time. He still continues to be fast, and we saw with the Epping race that it really started to click together, and he finally went those rounds that I expected to see him do when the season started off. And then Eric Anders is back, the other big one. Antron Brown starting to find his footing again, but I think obviously the top story thread at all is the fact that Justin Ashley just goes there and takes everything. I titled in my video for the Sunday recap, he raided the trophy closet. He took everything that they had. He got the 2 Wallies, the 2 Fast, 2 Tasty, and a Red Lobster gift card from Epping, or I believe it was Bristol who gave it. He took literally anything that they had to give him that weekend except the #1 qualifier spot. But I mean, he owned the place. He took everything they had to offer and then some. But overall, it's just a great event.
Question for you, Noah and Lee. I don't want to veer off the topic too much, but I have a question. Bristol, like we all know the scenery, but they always talk about the sound echoing off the mountains and stuff like that. And you hear the run again after the run. Is that true? Could you really hear the run afterwards?
It's real. It certainly sounds different. And if you were in the pits, like where Foley was pitted, was basically at the scoreboards. Yeah, all the cars sound different from a typical track that is not encompassed with mountains. It has different acoustics for sure. Fascinating place to watch a drag race. Fascinating place to hear a drag race. Great facility. Honestly, at this point, experiencing what I experienced, I just had this brief conversation with Brian Loans and saying, hey, I'd never been there before. What a great facility it was. We mentioned ZMAX. ZMAX is spectacular. But he used the term, and I agree with, and I used the term commercial. He used the term, it's sterile. Like it's not built into the landscape. Beautiful facility, but it's sterile or it's commercialized. It has that feel. No, Bristol has the feel of some small track just nestled in the back country, but yet it is the facility that ZMAX is. It's really a great combination of both worlds. And at this point, unless you want to see 4-wide drag racing, which, again, I would recommend, even if you don't like it right now, if you've never seen it in person, you need to see 4-wide drag racing in person. But if you don't want to see 4-wide drag racing in person, you don't care about that, I would recommend going to Bristol over ZMAX at this point.
That's the one way that I looked about it, because I the entire weekend I took the back way and I didn't take the main entrance in, and it's like I'll be driving through the backwoods of Virginia into Tennessee, and it's like there's not a gas station, not a McDonald's, there's nothing for miles. You start heading on this highway, and then you just start seeing the Coliseum, the silhouette of the Coliseum with the grandstand starts to appear over. It just appears out of nowhere if you're heading out to the backside of it. But overall, it's a fantastic track. Even going out the front end, you could just like everything that you hear from that track, whether it's the NASCAR side, whether it's the NHRA side, the hype is real. It's there. It's just an incredible track to go to, especially just standing on the backside or even the roof of the tower, and you can look both sides. You see the drag strip with the mountains on both sides, and even so, you have the Legends of Thunder Valley Suites. There's another hill behind that that's even taller than the suites. And there's people that will be camped up there. It's everywhere you look. It's a valley of people going either way. And it's genuinely just a really cool track to go to, and somewhere that if I had to tell people a track you need to go to, that's pretty high up on the list just because of the fact of everything around it. Like you go through the pits, and Lee can talk about it. They have another hill behind the pits, and there's people camped up there. And during Friday night after qualifying was over, this is the one complaint I had. Some guy had a laser pointer, and he was shining it down on the pits as I was walking by. I don't know who it was. I didn't find out who it was, but it was like a green laser pointer around there. It's like, yeah, you know what? That makes sense. We're in Bristol. That makes complete sense. So someone has a laser pointer.
Yo, you can't be playing like that. Could not be playing like that.
It was after it was over, so he wasn't messing with any of the guys that were on the track, but it was just.
No, I'm saying in general though. That's scary. You could be playing like that. Especially if it was a red light. You're like, dang.
No, it was a green one. So it was one of the green ones. I'm walking by the John Force pits, and I just see this green thing on the ground going around. I was like, what the heck is that? And I quickly put two and two together. Oh, it's a laser pointer. I look up, and I'm just like, why am I looking up at him? Because he's going to put that thing right in my eye. So I immediately turned my head back around because I was trying to find out who it was. But like, just overall, it's an incredible track. Like Terry Haddock had his pits parked right next to the track, and I was talking with Kalen Haddock before Q2 started, and he said after the funny car was over, they were going to get up on top of the hauler and just watch Top Fuel run because they're parked right next to it. It's just overall, if you've never been to Bristol, it's absolutely a track you need to go to. It's worth every penny that you can spend going to that track. It's just absolutely fantastic.
Certainly, I think it's worth it. And I will say though, for everyone that I have encountered, and I know they have been there, they still say Bandamere is the track. So after experiencing Bristol, I am like, how great is actually Bandamere? And got to get it in this year some way, somehow. Yes, for sure. Folks, we will have Justin Ashley on later on in the show. He is the guest tonight. We're definitely going to be talking with him about that domination. And Bobby Cottrell won the Legend Nitro Funny Car Series. Bobby and team, I'll imagine that they won another one. And you've got on into the ranks of Pro Stock Motorcycle, Steve Johnson. Steve Johnson won, and well, we didn't have Steve Johnson on the show Tuesday night, Darren. We had John Force, but John Force did a great job of explaining how he got that win for Pro Stock Motorcycle. It's John's only Pro Stock Motorcycle win, but he got there.
Yeah.
Amazing. He's done it all. He's beat Top Fuel. He doesn't have to go there. Now he's got a Pro Stock Motorcycle win. It's spectacular.
Only thing though, he forgets that when he beat the Dragsters in Bristol back in '99, he was in a Ford, not a Chevy. So he got
right. Or I loved how Steve was like, "Oh, this isn't working quite like I thought it would." When I said it was you that hit JR. Oh, he was like, "Oh, it wasn't."
You could tell he was taking a bit back from that. You could tell.
Yeah. It was like, oh. You know, this joke has stopped. Never mind. So, and then Pro Stock. Erica Enders, as mentioned, let me ask this. Everybody is saying she's back. Is one win enough?
I was thinking about that this past week. I don't quite think so. You know, it's a good story because, I mean, you know, Mighty Mac filled us in the group chat, you know, earlier in the week talking about how, you know, she got off social media and stuff like that. And kind of the critics were kind of getting to her. But then she goes out, qualifies #1 and wins the race. I mean, that's a pretty convincing win right there. But I want to see a little bit more before I technically say she's back. Because, I mean, she still's, 8 points? So still a way up to the top.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Now thinking about it, even though I just said it, it was like the way I see it, think about it, like, ever since round 1 at Gainesville, through qualifying, she was the same Erica. But ever since that hiccup that happened in round 1 in Gainesville, I've said in every single video, it's been a downward spiral that is just had no end in sight. There was no off ramp for that team to figure out, and it wasn't really just Erica; it was the entire elite camp. KB Racing just straight up dominated them throughout the most part. This is the first time they've won, I believe, since the Gainesville when Troy Coughlin Jr. carried the team to the finals. So I think it's definitely a turnaround because the one thing I will say is a confident Erica Enders and a fast Erica Enders is the last thing that anybody in that Pro Stock ranks want to see right now. And if she does have that confidence back and this team does, in fact, have it all turned around heading into Norwalk and beyond that into the Western Swing, besides I believe they're not going to Sonoma, but throughout the entire rest of the summer season, it's something they definitely got to watch out for because we're coming up on the countdown. If Erica does have it figured out, she's going to be a very tough competition, and we're really going to start to see how that KV Titan merger has worked and if it's really going to hold off the elite camp.
But I'm liking what we're seeing in pro stock right now. Like, I mentioned this on Tuesday. The story around pro stock is always, Greg Anderson versus Erica Enders, Greg versus Erica, Greg versus Erica. I mean, this year you got
Put
Dallas
respect
Glenn.
on Derek Kramer's name. Put respect.
The burnout king. You like burnouts?
4 straight final rounds. I'll tell you what, Michael Heiner, the crew chief, that get biofuel Camaro, they have found something.
He can also shoot a mean t-shirt cannon. Did y'all see that on NHRA.tv?
Yeah,
I saw it in person.
I saw that.
He can handle one.
He was launching that thing up there.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'll tell you what, in Dallas Glenn right now, obviously the most wins so far this season, the points leader. This is the type of season I thought we would see from Dallas Glenn last year. But, I think, the sophomore slump, I think, is a real thing. We kind of felt, wasn't that bad, but kind of fell into a little bit of sophomore slump. But this year he's come out, he's dominating right now. And I'll tell you what, Dallas Glenn is my pick. I know it's still early, but I think he's my pick to win the championship early here in 2023.
I think that's a solid pick. Look, I saw it at the spring fling, him in the dragster that he was in competing for the big money all weekend long. That man can go somewhere focus-wise that I didn't know people could go to. He definitely can block it all away and get himself in a situation to go racing. And
Kobe Bryant, huh?
Let's not bring basketball into this, okay?
I'm just saying. You say you've never seen it. I mean, technically, Kobe Bryant. You've seen that dude play. I mean, he's the most focused guy you've ever seen.
Let's not go there.
I'll let you finish up. Okay.
Let's not go there.
He is right here too. Just let you know that he's right there.
Okay, great, Darren. Great, Darren. Yeah. Your Lakers lost. Your Lakers lost to the Nuggets, and the Nuggets went on and got the championship. I hope that was a dagger.
You know what? I don't even want to go to the Mile High Nationals no more because of how they did my Lakers. I'm not even going to Denver no more.
Now you go to Denver.
Yeah, you missed out on Bristol, and now you're gonna miss out on Denver, last one they have, and now you're never gonna have that.
Well,
chance.
Yeah, because of how they did my Lakers. They didn't just beat my Lakers; they swept them. So it's like I'm not going to Denver. Screw Denver.
Man.
I'm staying home.
Hey, can't help it. Can't help it. LeBron's old. You pulling for old guys, John Forrest, LeBron. Man, you need to find some new people to pull for.
This is a drag racing show, Lee. Why are we talking
Lakers lose one time and you fold. I'm a Pacers fan. I don't even want to hear it.
All right.
One bad year.
You're talking about the Pacers. Just stop. Just move on.
No. It's like, you don't know pain. I don't want to hear you backing out because I did my Lakers. Oh, at least you made the playoffs. I don't want to hear it.
So, with Bristol, obviously we have. Look, we can all talk about the winners for sure, but Bristol's interesting because we got to see a track that was a bit warmer and also a challenging track with the tunnel and the transitions that are there. Okay, so the cream's going to rise to the top, and the teams that the best are going to become apparent for sure. What an interesting weekend, though. Obviously, Justin Ashley domination in top fuel. You look at the fuel classes. We're running 2 races. I think we can also make an argument for Tony Schumacher making a final round there at Bristol and getting past round 1 in the actual Thunder Valley Nationals. We can talk about Bobby Bodie. We can talk yet again about Chad Green. We can talk about Antron Brown and his performance. Alexis Joria does it again. Got some affinity for Bristol some way, somehow, and they are able to go to a final round. And Ron Capps wins and shows again he is never out of the discussion. There's so many storylines with Bristol and it getting warmer and going to challenging tracks. The narrative may very well change. Granted, a constant right now in 2023 is Justin Ashley, Mike Green, Tommy DeLago, and what they are getting done in that Justin Maynard Racing camp. Or so, Ashley Maynard Racing.
You mentioned that, right? You don't know I did this. So for everybody at home, did it pop up yet?
Yes, it's up.
Who is that guy in the middle right there? Can you tell who's that guy in the middle? Anybody?
Wow, this is going way back.
I know. Look at that. That is Mike Green.
That's Green with like a mullet.
Yeah, when he used to work on Gary Ormsby's top field.
Woo!
How about that? I know Dickie Venables, I believe, was on that team. And the other guy on the left is Chuck Shifsky. He works for I believe, Honda now in the IndyCar series. So some big-time dudes working on Gary Ormsby top field car back in the day. As you guys all know, Lee Beard as well. But
right.
Yeah. But like you mentioned, Justin Ashley right now, I mean, on a roll, the trifecta. It wasn't just a double up. It was a trifecta. 1 New England, 1 Bristol, 1 the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Took over the points lead, and get this, 9 championship bonus points in his back pocket now from the Mission Foods Challenge. That's almost half a round going into the countdown. At this point, racking up Mission Foods wins is probably a little more important than actual race wins, if you think about it, just a little bit.
MTJ. And if you know what I'm talking about, yeah, you know. Look, if you can rack up those points, and okay, let's be honest. If you are racking up the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge points, well, that means you're racking up points normally as well, because you are at least making a semifinal. To win any championship, you got to get past round 1, and you need to get past round 1 routinely, regularly. You do not need round 1 exits. Case in point, even our guest later on, Justin Ashley, and so many other competitors last year, they had that issue in the countdown. You cannot go out round 1. But if you are gobbling up those Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge points, that means you're gobbling up points normally. And yes, you are just padding that opportunity to win that championship later on in the year. So it makes it very important. And it makes it where, look, going out and getting those 9 points, going out and getting those bonus points, they do become important, because as far as I can recall, in drag racing, there really has never quite been a program like this other than the points to speed and ET records, national. Well, that didn't come about that often. This is something more akin, obviously, to NASCAR and the stage wins, or even the points for leading a lap or leading the most laps of a race. That is more of what it's like. And championships have gone to the wire. For example, Alan Kwiatkowski, Bill Elliott, Atlanta, 1992, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Alan wins it because he led the most laps.
Yeah, for sure.
Bonus points are real.
No, for sure. It definitely is.
You can take it back to even during the chase format, too. 2011, Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart comes down to a tiebreaker, and what ends up breaking it? The fact that Tony got more wins than him that season. I mean, it comes down to even just that much. I mean, it definitely helps. I never even thought about the analogy that these Mission Food points are essentially stage points. I never even put that together.
It really is. I mean,
yeah, it really is.
I think that's a great way to look at it. Is let's win stage 1 on Saturday, and then let's go win the whole race on Sunday. Type of situation.
Here's the thing, though. So even if you don't win the Mission Foods Challenge, right? If you runner up, you still get 2 points. If you're the quickest loser in the semifinals, you get 1 point. So I mean, it's an incentive to even just get to the semifinals, because you're going to rack up some type of points.
Right.
So it's like I love it. It's incentivizing winning. And what I would love for NHRA to do is, I know that, and they probably do this, I just haven't checked, but on just like how NASCAR does it with the playoff grid, with the point standings, show how many Mission Foods Challenge points each driver has racked up so far to this point. I don't know if they do that yet. They might. I just don't know. But I think NHRA should definitely do that to let people know how many championship bonus points each driver has so far throughout the season.
Well, I think we know right now, probably in top field, the most is Justin Ashley at this point. And
Gage has all his.
Yes, Gage has all his. And speaking of Justin Ashley, we got him in the green room. So how about we take a break and get Mr. Bristol on?
We'll do. Real quick. Drag Racing Central has a great point, though. You talk about the heat and it's changing, but once we get to the countdown, it is all about the cool weather tracks. You talk about Reading, St. Louis. It gets cool probably in Las Vegas, Pomona. So a lot of cool weather tracks once we get to the countdown. So it's all about that, who can run those nice mid 380s and those good 360s in top fuel and funny cars. So
the outlier in that is the Fall Nationals. The Fall Nationals sometimes it does not feel very fall at Texas during that time of the year.
It does not. But like you said, Justin Ashley is next.
Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase.
Justin Ashley, welcome once again to Between the Slicks. Look, you threw your name up there with the people who have dominated Bristol, like Darrell Waltrip. Your name now needs to be up there for sure with what you did. Matter of fact, I think it's easier to list what you didn't win. You didn't win Best Appearing Car from the weekend. You got everything else, though. I mean, I'm pretty sure you even probably got the best reaction time in Top Fuel.
Yeah, it was really an outstanding weekend. It was credible start to finish. You know, it's funny, you go into any weekend just knowing that you have an opportunity to win, but it's so hard to qualify for one of these races. It's so hard to win just one round on Sunday, to turn on 8 win lights over the course of 3 days, and then also win the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge was just an absolutely outstanding weekend. Definitely the best weekend of not only my career, but our career as a whole unit and a whole team. And there was just so much hard work that went into accomplishing what we did. So it's definitely something that we're proud of.
If you were playing Mortal Kombat, it would have been flawless victory at the end of the weekend. It was certainly spectacular. You gobbled up everything. Look, we just had the discussion about bonus points. How serious are you and your competitors taking the bonus points of that Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge out there?
Yeah, we're taking them very seriously, and that's a great question. They all add up. Whether you get those bonus points by winning rounds, or whether you get them by winning a Mission Foods round, or whether they come by running either low ET or second or third lowest ET of each qualifying round, they stack up, and they stack up really quickly. Right now, we have 9 from the Mission Foods Challenge, and they're not going to be added in until after Indy, but it's critical where you're positioned going into the playoff format after the regular season. You head into the countdown. So yes, I can't speak to the other drivers and the other teams, but I'd imagine they're approaching it the same way that our Phillips Connect Toyota team is, which is every point matters, every round matters, and ultimately we have the same goal, the same objective as all the other cars on the property every weekend, to win, and at the end of the year put ourselves in a position to win the World Championship. And in order to do that, we have to collect as many bonus points as we can along the way.
And you mentioned that, you know, back in the day, you see this all the time. A driver will start off the season hot, win 3 or 4 races to kick off, and then they'll kind of go, well, we got this big lead. Let's go into a little bit of a test mode before we get to the countdown. You know, we got a little points to spare. But now, like you just mentioned, you can't do that anymore because there's so many championship bonus points out there throughout the season. You can't go into test mode. You have to run hard all the way straight the whole regular season, basically.
No, you have to. There's no room for testing, especially with the way the Top Fuel field is. You know, I said it and I'll say it over and over again. This is far and away the greatest Top Fuel field we've seen in NHRA history. And that's no offense to any of the other fields in the past. They've all been fantastic. It's always tough, but the depth and the quality of competition is so good. There's no time for testing at all because you're always in a matchup. And if you're not racing on Sunday, like you said, you're racing for bonus points. So no, there's no testing. And we're in a great position right now, but we still have 7 races to go in the regular season. We still have 6 races after that in the countdown. So yeah, we need to position ourselves well. So certainly no testing for us, certainly no testing for any of the teams out there. We're out there to win, and that's what our focus is.
I talked to Elon right before I left Bristol, and he gave me a little bit of insight on what your schedule had been for about the past month or so leading up to this. And I'll let you talk about it, but I got to agree with him right now. The fact that you were standing at the end of this weekend was probably a miracle in its own right, because that would kill most men. And you're out there, did the entire of all that, had Epping, go there. Now you go 8 rounds, and you swept the entire weekend. Just how are you standing, and how much sleep did you get when you got back from Bristol? And then the follow-up question to that, have you spent the Red Lobster gift card yet? Did you guys go to Red Lobster the week after the race?
So when we say it's a team effort, these wins, these races are a team effort on and off the racetrack. So everybody from Elin Werner, who does PR, to Natalie Torrance, who does social, to Rich Bailey, who's our director of business development, to everybody in between on the Phillips Connect side with all our partners and the personnel that we have working on the car. So I actually was in Bristol, Tennessee, the Tuesday of the Epping race, doing a celebrity drag challenge there, flew to Boston the next day on Wednesday to do media for the Epping race, raced in Epping, or at least tried to race in Epping, then straight from Epping, flew to Denver to be with Phillips Connect and Phillips Industries for a week. And when that was done, got into Bristol around midnight on Thursday night to race for the weekend. and race those 3 races we were in. So I've been on the road for 2 weeks. Honestly, I feel privileged. I feel blessed to have the opportunity to do that stuff. It's exhausting. It's tiring, but I was fired up. I was charged up after I left Phillips Industries. I got a chance to speak with all their employees. I got a chance to speak with the leadership, Rob Phillips and Cliff and Amber and everybody that was there and in attendance. So that was a fantastic opportunity. That went great. And I went into the weekend charged up, fired up. But yeah, it was a little bit exhausting, but I love to do that. I love any media opportunity to promote our partners, to promote NHRA. But I did not get a chance to spend that Red Lobster gift card yet. I think I've been too busy sleeping off the week. I've been working all day, and then any chance I get, I think I'm in bed by about 8 p.m. Eastern time. But that Red Lobster gift card will be put to good use. I can promise you that in time.
2 weeks on the road. Justin, I need you to bump those numbers up. Okay, I gotta bump those numbers up. And no, certainly you've been getting a lot of the work in, and it has paid off with wins and business opportunities and partnerships. I can't even really remember. I was in the media center, and it was a part of a press conference. They asked you to elaborate on you visualizing racing and how that helps you with your reaction times. And you can go over that again, but my question to that is beyond reaction times, because we can hone in on reaction times and how well you are at the tree. But for you to be where you're at in life, you have to be successful in other areas as well. So are you visualizing things in your life beyond just a Christmas tree? And is that something that you practice regularly in other areas? And what is it that you're doing actually?
Yeah, so visualization is a big part of my routine, even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes a day, visualizing in detail what I want to happen first and foremost, obviously in the race car, from the time I see the tree to the time I go through the finish line and throw out the chutes, even to when I get out of the car and look at the time slip and see what that looks like. So from a racing side, it's critical, but yeah, from a life side, it's even more critical, just visualizing what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, what kind of person you want to be. And, I think that there is a stark contrast between just dreaming and visualization. We're talking about visualization. You're talking about actually putting your mind in that position, feeling things, smelling things, actually feeling like you're living out what's going on in your mind. And look, everyone's different. Different things work for different people. I know visualization is a technique that a lot of different athletes use, a lot of different golfers, for example, use, but it's critical, just 5 to 10 minutes a day for me to close my eyes and, of course, visualize what I want my life to look like. We're both really on and off the racetrack. So that's really what it looks like. Like I said, it's different for everyone, but I think it's been a critical part to the success that we've had as a team.
All right, guys, y'all need to visualize media stuff. Get to it, okay?
Oh, I already do that when I go to ask questions. The one thing I didn't expect when I interviewed Justin back at Indy was after the interview's over, he introduces himself to us and shakes my hand. I was like, we just did this interview and you're introducing yourself to me. That's the one thing I didn't visualize for, but it was one thing I was like, what? We did this like 5-minute interview. And he goes, hey, I'm Justin Ashley. He was like, yeah, I'm a bit aware. It was a really nice thing to do, but I was like, yeah, I'm aware of who you are. But it was like, yeah, I mean, I already try to visualize because try to ask these questions, try to visualize in my head. It's like, it is dumb in my head as I'm about to say it is. But, I mean, it's definitely something to use in everyday life before you go out and do stuff.
Well, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with sports. So, I mean, like, when I played basketball back in the day, or even Olympic weightlifting, it's like you visualize these lifts or you visualize yourself, making baskets before the game. And, you never want to think negatively because obviously you think negative, you're going to get negative results. So if you think about the positive and like with weightlifting, you go through your routines, you 5 days a week, you're in the gym, but right before you go and compete, you visualize yourself making these lifts and going through your technique and stuff like that. And it actually pays off. So I can see how that definitely translates to drag racing as well. And Justin, when you went 038 on Friday night against Dan Mercier, I'm like, oh, it's going to be a long weekend for the competition. Because, I mean, we all know you always know you're great on reaction time. But I was like, starting off like that, that's going to be a long weekend.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, you got it. You got it.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, every round is so important. And, of course, we want to be in our A game. But there's so much more And I don't mean to try and deflect the attention, but the truth is there is so much more to driving these race cars, than the reaction time. But okay, how about the fact that if you don't have a great race car, none of that matters? Or the fact that if your race car doesn't move quickly and react well off the line, the reaction time isn't going to be as good as it is. Or the fact that after round 2, it was the first time in almost 2 years, Norwalk 2021 was the last time that we actually heard a block. And after round 2 of Epping in Bristol, we heard the block, very quick turnaround time. The guys had to turn the car around, got it done with ease, no panic, got it done, operated smoothly. And that speaks to Mike Green, Tommy Delago, and the leadership that we have. So my point in saying that is, yeah, the reaction times are fun. It's killer. It's the statistics, but it really is a group and a team effort. And that's my responsibility. It's part of my responsibility to be able to leave quickly because the team works as hard as they do. And they give me a championship winning race car. And that's the truth.
And it's also keeping that car in the middle of the groove too. Because if you get that tire just out a little bit, you're smoking the tire. So like I said, it's not just reaction time. It's also keeping that car as straight as possible from point A to point B also.
Oh, it certainly is. And in a place like Bristol, it's easier said than done because we know that there's a transition over there by the tunnel. And we know that that track has a lot of character. It can be bumpy out there in both lanes. So it's up to the driver to do everything he can to keep it straight, at least to the best of his ability, and get it through the finish line. Point A to point B as easy and as quickly as he can.
You mentioned the fact that they replaced that block so quickly and efficiently. And you also talked about how it amps you up, and that's how it got you through the weekend with all the traveling you did. Does seeing what your crew do so well, and seeing them make those changes as quickly as they do and as almost perfectly as they do, does that just amplify your confidence level as you get in the car getting ready to make that run? And does that also help you right before you go out there and put down those 38 reaction times?
Oh, absolutely. It gets me so excited and so motivated. I always say this, I have the easiest job. I have the most fun job. There's no doubt about it. But I get in the race car and I get to drive this race car. It's 12,000 horsepower race car. But how do you get there? You get there by watching the 10 or 12 guys and girls on your crew do what they do, take the car apart, put it back together. And it's really like a coordinated dance. It's amazing to sit there and watch. And anybody who's been to these races knows what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's definitely fun to watch. It's motivating to watch. And there's a certain level of accountability and a certain level of responsibility that I have after they work so hard to give us a race car that's not only safe, but a race car that can perform at a high level. And heck, for those of you that know, for example, Greg Lynn out there, that guy is sweating, working hard all day, all night, with probably the best hair in the pits. Is Mellowed. I'm just going to put it out there. So how can you look at a guy like that and not be motivated to go out there and perform?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Hey, speaking of crew members, after a flawless victory in the New England Nationals and the Thunder Valley Nationals and the Too Fast Too Tasty Challenge there at Bristol Dragway, who is the one that partied the hardest? It might be Greg. It very well could be, but who partied the hardest and called in on like Monday, like, I can't even service the car.
Oh, man, what a question. I wish I knew because I wasn't around. I went to the media center. We took our winner's circle pictures, did what we had to do, and we were out like shout because I was tired. It was time to eat some pizza and go to sleep. But those guys definitely like to have a good time. I saw some cigars out there. I know Jeff Vacation. I saw he had a cigar and he was chilling out, having a good time with his family. I know Greg likes to have a good time. I will just say this. I know that there were a number of different people who were not shy about enjoying. Tommy Delago and Mike Green, don't forget how much pressure they have on them all day and all weekend. Everyone's talking about the double up. It's a lot of pressure. Once that was over and we got the win, I think it's pretty safe to say those guys definitely enjoyed themselves. And rightfully so. They deserve to.
You got your dad in the comments right now. He says Gene Bernard did some ish after the win. So there you go right there.
Yeah, there's been people, you know, it's so true. They're so hard to win, and you want to shift your focus to the next race, but you got to enjoy them first. It's important that you do. It really is.
That's the one question I do have too. So you already have these 4 wins up on the season, and now you're really starting to head into these dog days of summer. Like for instance, we got Norwalk coming up. The Western Swing is right around the corner, and then you head into these really hot events like Topeka and Brainerd. How does having these wins help amp you guys up as you head into these next few races? Because you're about to head into the really hot days of the season. How does having these wins already up and having the morale boost as high as it is help you guys as you start to head into these really tough parts of the season?
Oh, it's great for morale. And this is a tough part of the season. You said it, the weather gets hot. It'll get cold again, like you guys were saying, toward the fall. But for now, it's going to be a grind. These are tough, hot summer months. So for morale, it's great. It's definitely motivating. But I think even more importantly, we always have a good culture. And that's a testament to the group that we have and a testament to the Maynard family and Dustin Davis, who've built and established this great culture. But I think it's great for data and information. The more runs you get on Saturday, the more data and information that you get. And we're fortunate to be a part of the Toyota family. And we get a lot of that data and information that's really helpful on the racetrack. But the more laps we make, the more of that we get. And we can go back to that later in the year and learn more about the race car. So morale, yes. Data and information, yes. And it really helps in a number of different ways for the rest of the season.
I guess I'll fade it back into this too, since it's so quiet. So you and Caps got the win 198 and 199. You guys are right there on the doorstep of 200 on the weekend when Toyota itself almost had a perfect weekend. You got the win over in the Cup Series. You guys Toyota ended up losing their streak at Le Mans to Ferrari, but it ended up being made back up with the fact that you and Caps swept the weekend for Toyota and Truex had it. What was the reception from the Toyota camp to see what you guys were able to do this weekend and the success that you've had back here in the stateside to make up for the lackluster performance made over there in Europe?
Oh, the reaction's always great. I have to say the reaction when we win is always fantastic. They do such an awesome job of supporting our teams and supporting our drivers. But the unique part about it is they do the same win, lose, or draw. That's the great part about it, is whether you win or lose, they just want to help you. They want to be a part of the program and help your program get better. And I think that speaks volumes of Toyota. So yes, win, lose, or draw, they're the same way. But of course, they're competitive. They're winners. And everybody at Toyota puts so much time, energy, effort, commitment into seeing their program succeed. So when we do, and when we're fortunate enough to try on those win lights, it really is great. They're so excited. They're so grateful, as are we. So really, it was just great to see, and be a part of Toyota's involvement, especially when we do turn on win lights.
Hey, Noah, don't forget Christopher Bell, winning the dirt race. Toyota has pretty much swept Bristol. You talk about the circle track, the drag strip. I mean, Toyota's basically wiped them all out at Thunder Valley and the circle track, the great Coliseum. So you guys are doing great, I would say. Justin, for you, like you just mentioned, we're halfway through the regular season. It's about to start amping up. And then really, once we get to that Western swing mark, that's when you kind of know, hey, we're just a few races towards the countdown. For you as a competitor, I know you're excited after how last season ended. I'm pretty sure you're ready to actually get into the countdown now because, you're ready to go after that championship, I would think.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's hard not to think about it now, to be honest with you. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's a good strategy to think about it now. But, of course, it's in the back of your mind. We'll take it one round at a time, one race at a time. But we had an awesome countdown until the final two races, and that happens. There were a number of different factors and a number of different reasons that happened. But ultimately, it falls on us, and we didn't get the job done. But before that, we had an awesome countdown. We had an awesome year. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it. Yeah, I think we're itching maybe a little bit more than usual to get back to the countdown for a number of different reasons. But, with the addition of Joe and Kathy Maynard and Joe Jr. and Eric and their entire ownership group, it gets us even that much more excited because we have a lot of gratitude for them. And now that we're partners, now that we're one big unit, one big team, one big family, it adds that extra motivation for us to even perform at a higher level during the countdown. So we'll take it one race at a time. We'll enjoy the wins, hopefully, when they come. But yeah, come countdown, that's the time when the best teams step up. That's when you really see championship winning teams perform at an elite level, and we fully expect to do that.
I'll tell you what, I think Joe and Kathy Maynard, they're not mad at all. 3 races so far, 2 wins. That ain't a bad streak. I bet you they're happy.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good, and they are happy. It's been a pretty good streak. And then they won with Tim Wilkerson in Chicago, and then Tony went to the final in Epping as well. So things are really running. Their cars are really running well, and things are really going well for the Maynard family.
Mm-hmm. Next national event there at Norwalk, America's Racetrack, Summit Motorsports Equipment Park, and you've got some history there. Special place, I'm sure, and you enjoy going there. You've been part of the Night Under Fire program. Winning there at the house that Bader built, what would that mean?
It would mean as much as a gallon of ice cream for $1. I'm excited about it. I love going there. Obviously, a gallon of ice cream is an added bonus. I love that part. I love Bill Bader Jr. Just a fantastic guy. Does a great job with that facility and that racetrack. It's one of the most fun races we have all year, and the fans always pack the place out. I was there for Night Under Fire. I've raced there the last few years, and I watched my dad win there in Funny Car in 2007. So I remember being at the top end and experiencing that. So yeah, a lot of history there, a lot of family history there. And Norwalk is just such a fun, competitive atmosphere. Love interacting with the fans there. So that's definitely one of those tracks. And some of them do, a lot of them do, but that's one of those tracks that definitely stands out on tour, one of our favorite tracks to visit.
Okay, we've been doing a lot of talking about favorite tracks and stuff like that on Power Hour and even this show right here. So since we got you here, let's get into it. What's Justin Ashley's top 5 favorite tracks? Whether it's scenery, you like racing at, what's your top 5 favorite tracks?
Okay, I'm going to give you them in no particular order.
Okay.
All right. Especially because scenery-wise, I always put Charlotte on there. I think Charlotte, especially the entryway, is far and away the most beautiful, one of the cleanest facilities in NHRA drag racing. So Charlotte's on there. Denver and Bandamere. That place is gorgeous, the way the stands are built into the mountains. I love Norwalk. So Norwalk is absolutely up there. Bristol is another one. Bristol's stunning. And the way it sounds there, the way the cars sound there are just fantastic. So you have Denver, Charlotte, Bristol, Norwalk. And then how about this one, guys? How about Maple Grove, Pennsylvania? I love that one. That's a home track for me. The Koretsky's, the way they're building out that facility, that track is awesome. And that place, the traffic in that place getting in last year, that was nutty. It was, I got a call from my dad. I was already in the track. He's like, all right, I'll be there soon. I'm in line. 2.5 hours later. All right, I'll be there soon. I'm in line. It was crazy, crazy busy. So Maple Grove, I'll put that one on the list there. I'm forgetting some. Gainesville, I love Gainesville, but those are the 5 I'll start with for sure.
That's a strong 5. Strong 5.
Yeah.
It is. I just hate no West Coast tracks getting any love, you know? No West Coast tracks ever get me. It's always the East Coast
Bandamere.
tracks.
Well, Bandamere.
Well, yeah, it's kind of middle, you know?
So
you're gonna get technical.
Yeah, you're gonna get tested. Yeah, This is what happens when you grow up in Southern California. Like if it's not California and Southern California, it's not West Coast.
Right.
That is true. Yes. Yeah.
Don't get me started on In-N-Out Burger, please. I'm just kidding. I love being from the East Coast. I love Shake Shack, big like Shake Shack type of guy.
Oh,
but
Shake
I
Shack
also
is good.
I'm also a big fan of In-N-Out Burger. I really do. I like In-N-Out Burger too. I know that everyone from the West Coast, that's what it's all about. And it was really cool to see their involvement at the racetrack, by the way, at Pomona. So thank you to In-N-Out Burger for doing that, to see everyone walking around with the hats and eating the burgers. I was looking at Rich Bailey, who's a director of business development. It's like a Saturday at 9:30 in the morning. And he's having like a double-double in the hospitality area.
Oh, yeah.
Check this guy out, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right now.
Hey, Sunday morning, In-N-Out for breakfast at the In-N-Out Pomona drag strip was, yeah, it was a great setting. It was good. It was good. It was good. Well, Justin, we wish you much more success and many more wins, and looking forward to you continuing in NHRA Camping World competition in Top Fuel this year. We know that there's going to be many more wins and possibly even a championship in 2023. Thank you for your time here on Between the Slicks.
Anytime. Absolutely love your show. Thank you guys for having me on. And real quick, I just want to say hello. Everybody knows, good friend, family, Chip Lofton out there just had surgery. We love you. We're thinking about you. We're praying for you. Thank you for being you, Chip. And I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
The drag racing life and the RV life seem to go hand in hand like nitromethane and superchargers. And when you are traveling through the Lone Star State and you're needing work done on your RV, well, DFW RV Center is your star to contact.
Man, I don't even hardly recognize that guy starting that commercial. Wow.
Yeah. That was a nice commercial. The beat was nice too. I like it.
Yeah, you like that beat. You like that beat. Yeah. You would choose that beat, wouldn't you?
Don't don't get canceled now, Lee. Don't get canceled. Don't get canceled now.
Hey, Darren, do you play Monopoly?
I do not. Black people don't play Monopoly.
Sam, staying out of this. Right,
Hey,
y'all can go ahead.
You know, one thing we did learn from Steve Johnson, and Justin's got to turn those trophies though, because he's got back to back. The trophies that are won back to back have to be back to back. So next time we have them, we got to see those trophies back to back.
Hold on. I got a question for Noah. This is just a joke. Noah, what do you call a Wally that's black?
Oh boy.
I'm not even gonna try. What do you
No,
call him?
just go for it. Just go for it. It's a serious question. If you watch Competition Plus Power Hour on Tuesday nights, you would know. Just saying.
Well, you see, I get home from work around 5, so I'm passed out by then. So I miss it from time to time. What, I would just keep calling it Wally. It's still a Wally. What do you call it?
According to Steve Johnson, it's Willis, not Wally. It's Willis.
Willis.
Did we lose Lee? I think we lost Lee.
We got that $1.2 smile going on over there, so we started losing for a little bit. That Love's gas station Wi-Fi, maybe this timer ran out.
I know, right? He probably did run out of Wi-Fi. He probably did.
I'll say this: he froze on a perfect frame for that. I'll give him that. That is like a perfect freeze frame.
Can you screenshot that before it goes away? Can you screenshot that?
Yeah, I'll post it.
Yeah, screenshot that, please, before it goes away. Hurry up, because that's great. That's great, right there.
Oh my god, there we go. Oh,
So
he faded out perfect.
So I guess we got to end the show then, huh? Since he's gone.
Well, we're gonna spend the next hour doing dad jokes. I can pull up that website again.
Probably so. Hey, but like I said, we don't want to do nothing to get canceled though.
Nope. I just got in the media center. I can't get kicked out. I cannot afford to do that just yet.
But just going back, our guest Justin Ashley, like we said, a magic carpet ride he's on right now. 4 wins so far this season. He's won half the races. He did the triple up in Bristol, Epping, won the New England Nationals in Epping, won Bristol, won the Mission Foods Too Fast Too Tasty Challenge. I would say Justin Ashley. Oh, he's back.
He's back.
We thought you ran out.
I don't know.
I thought the Love's gas station Wi-Fi ran out. Did you
it must have, and I'm supposed to have 4 hours. I'm on to call Loves, and I don't appreciate the lack of quality, Loves. You're not showing the love.
You're not loving Loves. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right. Now, actually, I do love Loves. Loves actually is very convenient for a travel center to do like keto breakfast. They have some great options for on the road. So shout out to Loves. Keep up the good work.
I see. This is the one thing you can keep your in and outs, because the good thing about being over here on the East Coast, we got these things called Buc-ee's. Those things are fantastic. I got to stop at one on the way back from Richmond. I forgot it was on the way back. I stopped there, grabbed me a cinnamon roll, got me my fountain sun drop and a Buc-ee's puppet, and I was good to go for the rest of the way. I kept myself entertained for the next 4 hours. But I mean, yeah, you should have gone there, man. Buc-ee's treat you right. They'll put you in the back room. They'll set you up nice. But I mean, yeah, going back to
guys, look, before I lose signal or whatever again, I'm going to check out. Y'all can keep talking. You can end the show. You can do whatever you want. I'm the Monday Morning Racer at Lee Craft. I got to get to Cordova. Thanks, guys. Good talking with you. Justin, thank you for your time. Everyone, hit the like button, hit the share button. Peace out.
Figure it out.
If I can leave.
Yeah,
I'll do it for you, man. I'll do it for you. Here,
Get him out. Get him out of here. We ejected him from his own show, and he's back.
Exactly.
And he's out. That's about right. I mean, yeah, with answering your question, talk about Justin with the triple up. I mean, I said this to him in the media center, and I'll say it again. He, like, the way I would describe his weekend, he stomped on everybody's heads so far this season. I mean, you win 4 of the first 6 races of the season, or 7 maybe. 4 of 8. You won't have half of it. Think about this. There's only very few people that have repeated the season so far. Gage obviously being the one. You saw Matt Hagan. Now you got Robert Hyde doing it. Dallas Glenn is the other one. And now you got Justin Ashley. He's the only person in Top Fuel to repeat, and he's won over half the races. Mm-hmm. And it's just incredible what he's been able to do. Obviously, going out after the end of last season, where he had the lead going into Las Vegas, and then it all falls apart come Pomona. Obviously, it's going to put a little bit of fire under you heading into next season. Gainesville, I thought it wasn't going to show up, and then he shows up in Arizona, and then it's been no looking back. You talk about 4 wins and heading into these dog days of summer, and with the last Western swing, he's obviously not done, but this is a really good start to the season for what that team needs.
Well, you go back to last year in the countdown. Last year's countdown for Top Fuel, at least, was a pretty was an anomaly. Pretty much every winner went out first round the very next race. We call it, me and Dave W, who was my co-host on Inside the NHRA, we called it the winner's curse, like back in 1999. Because in 1999, you win a race, you're going out first round the next race. And that's what we saw in the countdown. It just goes to show how competitive this top field class is. I feel like Justin Ashley, Mike Green, Tommy DeLago, they have really pinpointed of being more consistent this year. And, because me and Lee even talked about it, that team will win a race and they'll go out first round. I think they've really pinpointed, let's be more consistent. And I think that's what they're going to do this year. And like I said, it's still a long way to go, but Justin Ashley, that whole Phillips Connect Top Fuel Dragster team, they're hungry for this championship. And I got to tell you what, they are the favorite right now, in my opinion. Still a long way to go, though. Brittany still hasn't won yet. Steve hasn't won yet. Antron, he's been strong. So it's gonna be a dogfight right to the end.
Steve's really the one guy that I've been watching, because if you look at the standings and you pay attention to that guy, we all expect him to get that Wally. It's going to come eventually. You just don't know where. Guy hasn't won a race, and he's ahead of Mike Salinas. He's ahead of anything. There's a guy, Austin Prock being the other one. It's just the only person that he has been able to pass is Justin. That's the only exception. Other than that, he's been top 3 in the points ever since leaving Gainesville. Yeah. He's obviously the most consistent driver out there, and it just takes that one win. And again, like I said about Samuel Bonerica, he's already confident, but a fast Steve Torrence is a very dangerous combination, especially for all of them. And those Capco boys, they say it every single week. They've let the entire field get to catch their breath. And now they're trying to choke them out. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. And they're on the doorstep of doing that. And Dave just predicted all new winners in Norwalk. I could easily see it. I'm Steve Torrence, Alexis DeJoria, Greg Anderson, all guys that we're waiting on to really start to answer for what we've been waiting to see out of them this season. I feel like it's about to happen here in the next few races.
And what I love from Steve Torrence too, the 4-time Camping World Top Fuel Champion of the world, it really looked like he had a swagger back in Bristol.
Oh, really?
/ Epping. You look at his interviews, the way he was kind of strutting off. It seemed like Steve Torrence had a swagger back. And once he gets into the winner's circle, so let's take a look at it. So, like I said, Top Fuel is so competitive right now. The years of Steve Torrence reeling off 10, 11 wins in the season, those days are probably over just with how competitive it is, but he's still a championship favorite. He has to be. He's just so consistent. Like I said, hadn't even won a race, but still top 3 in points. It's amazing. The whole Capco team, what they can do.
I mean, I keep picking him because I felt at Bristol that it was going to happen. I wanted to say Justin. Was like, I felt that was too easy. I didn't have the 100% faith that he was going to double up because of the fact of how tired the team would have been going into that race. But I felt that Steve and Alexis were just sitting there waiting in the bushes. They went out. They had already been eliminated. They had time to really prep the car and be ready for Sunday. And I genuinely thought they had it. And I think what might have killed it was the rain coming in round 2, because I said this about every single – and I said this in the group chat. DRC was there when I said it. When round 2 happened and that rain left and it was time for top fuel to go out, the first thing I noticed was it was a race to see who was going to get into that right lane. That lane for fuel cars went 8-0. Nobody did it. And then Steve Torrence chose the left. And I was like, I'm very curious on what made the team decide to go do that, because you just watched 2 cars go out there in that same lane and only one of them really made it down the lane and still lost. I felt, and I was right, the right lane was the favorite in that round, because anybody who was in the left lane got sent home after round 2.
Mm-hmm. And so before we get out of here, you mentioned something off air in the green room before we came on. There's a new rule change in Pro Stock Motorcycle. I haven't read up on it yet, so fill me in before we get off the air. I guess I'm calling it a NHRA rule.
Yeah, I'm going to look up here real quick just to go find it. I believe it's Briar Star. He's the one who posted it, or that made it publicly aware. So what they decided to do, this is for all the Suzuki bikes. So basically Vance and Hines, anybody running the Suzuki 113 CID 4-valve, they've added 5 pounds to the head. So it was 635, now it's 640. So they're going to add 5 pounds to the valve heads to those bikes going into the next race. And that affects, I looked at about 9 bikes, including Gian Evaristo. It affects, I believe, Steve Johnson. It obviously affects both the Vance and Hines bikes. Chase Van Sant, the White Alligator team, is not happy about that. Matt Smith is the other one that's going to affect it. It affects a couple of teams that have those engines in their bikes and they're having those 5 pounds added to their cylinder heads. And I get why they're doing it. You want parity in the class. I absolutely understand that you want it. Is it the right way to go about it? I'm not sure, because I'll find you the exact quote from what the Chase Van Sant's crew chief said about that. He says only one bike with these heads is performing above the rest of the field, and it's going to do it in the front half, where the clutch, gear ratio, and chassis play a huge role. A bike with monster 4V head, won the Bristol race in top mile per hour. There was a run by a V twin who NHRA is he basically called that NHRA. They're saying you're looking at the heads, and that's not where Vance and Hines is having their advantage. It's in the front half of the engine. So they were very upset by it, and I believe rightfully so, because you're targeting one guy and it's affecting 9 other riders who are still having to go chase after that guy. And so I question, depending on what he said, is that really going to stop Gage Herrera? I guess we're going to have to find out in Norwalk, because thank God they're on the next race. But it's going to make it really interesting, because maybe this is going to be what opens the door for what we expect out of Angie Smith, because she's on that Buell. She doesn't have to worry about the Suzuki. She's not even on that engine. So she's on a completely other bike. So who knows? Maybe this is the opening in the door that she can really use to start opening up her championship campaign, because we've been waiting for Vance and Hines. I hate that it had to come down to a change in the rules for it to happen, but because I think eventually, with the fact that Matt Smith and Steve Johnson, all these guys finally got their Gen 3 Hayabusa bodies, it would have happened naturally. But who knows? Maybe this is what brings the Buells back up to compete with the Suzukis.
And it's funny because on Inside the NHRA on Sunday, Dujane Bland, one of our guests on the show, he said, how soon before we actually see a rule come? And what happens? It comes this
3 days.
3 days. 3 days. Right? And so
didn't take long.
Is it fair to penalize somebody? Because 5 pounds, some people might say, oh, that's not a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight, especially for a pro stock motorcycle. Is it fair to penalize one guy when they're putting in the work, going out there and dominating? You know, do you think that's fair to penalize one guy when they're going out there winning all the races, putting in the hard work, and basically kicking everybody's ass, basically?
Well, they're not really penalizing one guy. The target's one guy, but like I said, you're affecting 8 others. Yeah, they're still trying to chase after him. Because I mean, all respect to Steve Johnson. I mean, obviously he went out and won the race. He did everything he needed to do. But if we're going to be honest here, he only got that, and he said in the top interview, he got that because Gage jumped. I believe even if you looked at the ETs, I still think Gage was faster than him. So I completely get it. I get why they're doing it. Obviously, it sucks because you want to see it happen naturally. Is it fair? Depends on who you ask. I bet if you ask the guys over at Matt Smith Racing or Steve Johnson Racing, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, it's absolutely fair." But if you ask the guys working on Gage's bike, he's like, "No, this is a total load of crap. Why are you going to penalize us because we figure something out that nobody else does?" So I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully, it makes it more exciting. I hate that I talked about it because Gage can blame me if he wants on this. During the rain delay, I went around and I started asking around. I asked Chris Blair. He didn't have the answer. I asked Jack Rapella. He didn't have the answer. He believes it. The all-time record in pro stock motorcycle, the one that I thought it was Dave Schultz in 1994, went 40-2. He won 9 out of the 11 races that season. And the only 2 losses he had were because of mechanical failures, and I believe maybe a red light. I believe they're just both mechanical failures, though. I couldn't get a straight answer of anybody. We tried to figure out if that was the case, and I found Brian Loans, and he said he knew for a fact that that was the case. The all-time record in pro stock motorcycle is 40-2. It's Dave Schultz's legendary 1994 season where he won the Triple Crown in IDBA, Pro Star, and NHRA. The closest guy I believe who came to that was Andrew Hines in his 2019 season when he went 31-8. So the all-time record is that 1994 record. In order for Gage to have done that with what he had right now, he needed to win the Bristol all the way to the Carolina Nationals in the fall in order to beat that record. And he can't lose more than 2 races. He already lost 1. He can't afford to lose 2 more races or he's going to lose that record. So that took away a bit of a compelling story. I feel it really all depends on if it's really going to affect them or not, because if what the White Alligator team believes is true and it's not the valves that are affecting that, then who knows? Maybe it's going to do nothing and Gage is going to go out there and just keep telling him, hey, do what you want to my bike. I'm going to go out here and dominate you guys anyways because this is what I'm out here to do. And this is what Andrew pays me to do. Because in all honesty, even though Gage is 30, he has absolutely the best mentor out of the entire class to help him get through this. Because you have a guy like Andrew Hines, one of the best guy on a pro stock motorcycle in the history of the sport, alongside Dave Schultz and Matt Smith. You have that guy in your corner telling you how to ride that bike, and he's already as good as he is, and you have that as your mentor. Sky's the limit. It's like Antron Brown and Dave Schultz. We saw what Antron could do on a pro stock bike. It's the modern day version of that, and it's exactly what we're seeing. Is he's just out there dominating. The only person who can beat Gage Herrera this season seems to be Gage Herrera. So we're really have to see if this real penalty is going to do it or not.
Right now, Gage Herrera has 5 of the top 10 quickest runs in pro stock motorcycle history. Here goes a little history for you as well. And this is a good Dave W stat. And I was going to mention this as well. You talk about the all-time record for Dave Schultz. Quite a few races for them back in the day in the NHRA circuit, but this is a Dave W stat. He brought this up on Inside the NHRA. Gage Herrera was going for history out of Bristol. He was trying to become the first to win the first 4 races while qualifying #1 4 straight times to start the season. He had 3. The only other guy to do it with 3 was this guy right here, also in the Vansa High Stables, Matt Hines. So a little bit of history on the line for Gage Herrera. Came up just a little bit short. Like you said, the only guy that could beat Gage Herrera here in 2023 is Gage Herrera. But just going back to last year, and we're going to wrap up the show in just a little bit. Going back to last year when Angel was on that bike was putting up some pretty great performances as well. It's just that Gage Herrera has taken it to new heights. So that bike has always been good. So I don't know if I actually agree with them stacking on those 5 points, targeting one person. And like you said, it affects 9 other guys and gals as well.
Well, you can also say that well, yes, the bike also performed well. They've also, because then you're really taking away from Angel, who did fantastic that season. Just it all fell apart in the countdown. I mean, it really started with that, what was it, the 250 light she pulled at Indy when she lost to Ron Torno in the first round. That's really where it all fell apart. But it's obvious they found something during the offseason because the performance of that bike just stepped up in such a big way. And you can point to the Gen 3 Hayabusa body, you can point to the new Suzuki engines, but then you look at Eddie Krawick, you see how he's not at the same level as what Gage is at, but just right behind him. It's obviously something that team has figured out and something that Gage has figured out in his riding technique from that one season running without them. It obviously is working, and it's working in a big way. He is just absolutely dominating the season, and he is the guy to beat by a mile because we would be in the media center during Bristol, which you should have been at, and you could hear Bobby in the corner and everybody. You see Gage Herrera pull out the reaction time. It's like, oh my god! And then he goes out there and puts on the light. And everyone's just like, oh my god! It just blows them away. He owns the class, without a doubt. He owns the class. It's just a question of who's going to actually outrun him. And right now, I don't know anybody who can besides Matt Smith. And he just got that. He got the Gen 3 Hayabusa body as well. So, it all really depends. How fast can he figure it out? How fast can he catch up to them? And is he waiting for the countdown to really start to answer to him? Because he's still there. He's quietly knocking, even on the old body. Now he has a new one. How quickly is Matt Smith going to be able to answer the call to go chase down Gage Herrera, or can Steve Johnson do it? Who else can do it? Also, to answer Dave's question, he said how many races were 94 versus 23? I said that he won 9 out of the 11 national events, so I'm not sure how many there are this year. I know there's more, but I mean, still, you need to have at least a 40-2 record. I would still say that. We're not counting the too fast, too tasty wins, so really all just depends on how he performs in these national events. But again, regardless, the record's 40-2. He needs to at least beat that. I would honestly say he can't get more than 2 losses, or else it's not the same. Because even, like I said, Andrew Hines, his record was 31-8. That doesn't best it. The record, you have to have at least more than 40 wins. And I say maybe a loss or 2, but you have to at least have more than 40 to beat Dave's record.
Yeah, and we all know Dave Schultz is the GOAT all time in pro style motorcycle. And another rider who doesn't get enough credit in pro style motorcycle. Oh, there you go. The nice Sunoco colors.
Shout out to Chris Blair for giving me that.
I like it. Another pro style motorcycle. Say it again.
Let me see if I can grab it. You can keep talking. I have a whole tote back here, just all this stuff. I'll show it off real quick. You can keep going though.
No, what I was going to say was another pro style motorcycle rider that doesn't get enough credit is also one of the greatest of all time is John Myers. I'll talk about John Myers is one of the best back in the day. And just real quick, going back off the Angel point, and not taking anything away from Angel, because me personally, Angel and Steve Johnson are my 2 favorite pro style motorcycle riders of all time. But that bike last year was pretty good. And that bike will go in the low 670s, and I don't think we got the full potential because let's be honest, Angel did struggle on that bike last year. And like I said, I'm not saying like they of course have found something in the off season, in the motors and especially with Gage on the bike. But I think we didn't see that bike's full potential last year, and we're seeing it this year, especially with what they've gained in the off season. So that's basically my point.
They found the perfect chemistry. Obviously, it's there to see. And just again looking at it, I mean, these old H2 Kawasaki Triple Pro Stock bikes. I have a whole tote of these. It's just all of these is what I used in the video. I have this whole tote just sitting here. I'm waiting for Antron to see it because I invited him to do it. We're not doing it until after the West Coast swing, apparently. But I mean, yeah, you talk about it. They obviously found something. It's the perfect chemistry and just the perfect match made in heaven for them. Having a guy like NHRA who just has a natural talent to go out there and get the job done. And then you have the perfect combination with the new body and the new engine and whatever Vance and Hines figured out in the offseason with those bikes to make them go that fast. It's there. And to answer Dave's question, like I said, I got this from Brian Loans. He said he knew for a fact nobody has bested Dave's record. The record right now for the greatest overall record in the pro stock motorcycle season is Dave Schultz's 94 season of 40 wins and 2 losses. Nobody's beaten it.
For sure.
The only other person that came close was Andrew Hines' 2019 season when he went 31-8.
For sure. All right, Noah, it's time to get out of here, man.
Yeah.
I think we've got about 20 minutes, 20 minutes past when we're supposed to end this show. But before we get out of here, I want to say I love this Bernstein poster. You never really see it. I'm using a different laptop tonight, and you can't usually see it in the background, but now you can see it clearly with the Budweiser girls in the background, the King of Speed, Kenny Bernstein. So just want to show that off to the crowd. But thank you guys all for tuning in to episode 141 of Between the Slicks from the Monday Morning Racer YouTube and Facebook channel, and also streaming on Competition Plus Facebook and Drag Racing Connection on Facebook. I'm Darren Williams Jr. along with Mighty Mac. Noah, we'll see you guys. What's up?
Real quick, Dave. So Dave, the question that Dave meant to ask was who ended it. I'm not sure. Look throughout the 1994 season. I can't find any videos of that season of who beat him. I'm gonna assume John Myers, honestly. But yeah, continue with it. Sorry to ruin your outro.
No, it's good. Good night, everybody.